A few weeks ago, I reported about how bogus news, I'm talking about blatantly false stories found on social media, are very often the most popular stories and the ones most shared. And this brings us to Facebook's founder and CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, and his response to Facebook's ongoing fake news problem. Now, unbelievably, instead of confronting the ugly truth head on, Mr. Zuckerberg has simply announced that there is no problem. He said that it was, and I'm quoting now, crazy to believe that false Facebook stories masquerading as legitimate news could have any impact on the presidential election. Now, of course, it's not possible to know whether they did or not. But one thing is certain. Over the past year, Facebook has pushed out far too many false, biased, and completely fake stories disguised as legitimate news. So Facebook got rid of its human news editors and replaced them with the much-touted computer algorithm that's supposed to select trending news stories, but without the human bias. It took only a few days for another major embarrassment. Facebook began trending a completely phony story, claiming that Fox News had fired its host, Megyn Kelly. Facebook removed the story, and yet, in another few days, Facebook's algorithm picked a long-debunked 9/11 conspiracy theory, claiming the collapse of the World Trade Center buildings was the result of controlled explosions rather than a terrorist attack. And that's not all. The Washington Post investigated and discovered that between August 31st and September 22nd, 5 of Facebook's trending news stories were, quoting again, indisputably fake, and 3 more were profoundly inaccurate. Now, in return, Mr. Zuckerberg said, well, okay, there aren't that many false stories on Facebook. And after all, most of Facebook news is accurate. Social media in general has this long history of irresponsibility. Remember that Twitter is in the midst of a major lawsuit for allowing tens of thousands of known terrorists to use the website for recruitment and coordination. On November 14th of 2016, Twitter announced that it would begin banning hate speech. Trouble is, they said the same thing back on May 31st. Facebook's track record with known terrorist groups is just as dismal, and Mr. Zuckerberg's response to the fake news crisis is both immature and alarming. If you want to be in the reporting business, then take the responsibility seriously. It's time for Mr. Zuckerberg to actually lead and stop making excuses. Set an example, clean the mess up, and win the trust and confidence of your customers before it's too late.